This episode is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 seller of games and gaming accessories. And GatheringMagic.com, the #1 resource for Magic the Gathering news and articles.
Hi, I'm Trek, and this is my Phelddagrif deck, codenamed Christmas Hippo. Alright, this is Phelddagrif. It's also codenamed the Christmas Hippo. I'll show you why. First we have 5 snow-covered forests. One of them is Cold Snap. It is the least cool one. Then we have 5 snow-covered plains. These are my favorites just because they have a little bit of the moon right there. And then we have Easter Island during the winter, which never happens. We've got the 2 Snowland duels. We've got Mouth of Ronom for some emergency removal. We've got Scrying Sheets for the reasonable amount of snow that's actually in the deck. Then we have Evolving Wilds and a Japanese Terramorphic Expanse, in case you didn't know what that does. They're the same card. We have Krosan Verge for searching out 2 lands at once. We have Mistveil Plains for preventing myself from decking myself, as well as preventing people from reanimating out of my graveyard. Then we have a Command Tower, which every EDH deck needs. Temple of the False Gods. Springjack Pasture. I basically consider this to be a lot like Maze of Ith, except it has a few other uses too. Reliquary Tower, most important land in the deck. Vesuva for destroying other legendaries, especially Boseiju. Then we have 3 shock lands. Alright. And then we have a few artifact lands, or artifact sources. Let me go through those right quick, then I can explain how the deck works. We've got Talisman of Progress, Talisman of Unity, Simic Signet, Selesnya Signet, Soul Ring, Chromatic Lantern, Darksteel Ingot, and Gilded Lotus. Those are just all artifact mana sources. Alright, and before we go into the deck, let me explain to you a little bit how it works. If you've never heard of Turbo Fog, it's basically the most offensive deck idea ever. It's a deck that's goal is to speed up the game as fast as possible while also playing as defensively as possible. With the end goal in mind of milling their opponent by literally going through every card as fast as possible. Playing and surviving against every single card in your opponent's deck. And in that respect, Phelddagrif the role it plays is to actually play politics between my opponents, to have one player fight another. You know, when player A is beaten up on player B, I give player B some help. And they fight back and they duke it out and they end up wasting cards on each other, threats and whatnot. And then I have an easier job defending myself. So that's why it's the Christmas Hippo, because he comes bearing gifts to people in need, where he's actually a very evil person. Wait, that's not like Christmas. Anyway, so let's go into this first section here. This is the card advantage section, which we have Yavimaya Elder, Oracle Mul Daya. There's actually a strong theme of playing multiple lands a turn. It's really important because this deck needs a lot of lands. Wargate, it tutors out pretty much anything in the deck. You'll see a long list of cool things it can get later on. Genesis is for reanimating all of my creature-based fogs, as well as cool things like Eternal Witness, which is also on the deck and next. We have Mind's Eye for drawing absolutely ridiculous numbers of cards in this deck. Solemn Simulacrum, yeah, easy explanation. Plagiarize, this one's a new favorite. It's great. It's not uncommon in this deck for everyone to draw 14, 15 cards a turn. And that's a big draw for me. We have Azusa, so I can play more lands a turn. Very important. Karmic Guide for bringing back any of my creature-based fogs, as well as Azusa, Eternal Witness, Sun Titan, which is a couple cards down. Very important. Privileged Position, it protects me. This is actually, I've never actually played this yet, it's just recent inclusion. I think it should be pretty useful. Reveillark brings back 2 of my fogs. And yeah, 2 fogs or an Eternal Witness, or better yet, a Karmic Guide for that combo that doesn't see enough play. Life from the Loam, bring back 3 lands and its dredges. It's interesting that I can prevent myself from ever milling because I can put Mistveil Plains back into my hand with this and play it, even if it gets destroyed. And there's not, I guess there is a way to get rid of this, but it's a 2-step problem to get rid of it. Sun Titan for bringing back lands and fogging creatures. Open the Vaults for reanimating everything all at once. Beacon of Immortality for doubling my life total, further stalling the game. Ivory Tower for gaining life every turn for the number of cards in my hand, which is regularly over 20. Face Reward is basically a counter for any sort of mass removal. Like Wrath of God, or better yet, Armageddon. That makes people mad. Commandeer, this is like my new favorite card. Just a brief story. I was playing the other day and my opponent mind grinded for like 50, and I commandeered it and milled everyone else instead. It was great. Loaming Shaman is both graveyard hate, and it allows me to reset my own graveyard. It's an important inclusion in this deck. Alright, then we have the removal, which I'll just grab half of. Very strong package. This is like the best color combo for removal. Path, Swords, Pongify, Rapid Hybridize, Beast Within, Oblation for killing generals, Bant Charm for killing generals, and several other different kinds of things. Acidic or Capsize for, just being the most annoying bounce spell ever printed. Return to Dust for removing 2 artifacts and enchantments from the game. Tornado, which is the coolest enchantment ever, lets you kill a permanent every turn. At a relatively low cost, and and the upkeep doesn't matter. You'll get plenty of usage out of it by then. Acidic Slime, great creature, plus it's reanimatable with Reveillark. Relic Crush for destroying another 2 things. One of my win conditions involves removing all of the colored artifact mana sources from my opponents. It wins if I can make it so my opponents have no colored artifact sources. And those are important for that. We've got 2 mass removal spells. Wrath of God and Supreme Verdict. Those are just great for resetting. Alright, and then we're into the most important section of the deck. It is the turbo part of Turbo Fog, which is cards that make everyone draw extra cards a turn. We got Kami of the Crescent Moon, everyone draws an extra card. It's a 1/3, it's a nice little creature. Walking Archive, exact same thing, except 2/2, and it can get bigger and have people draw even more cards. Temple Bell, tap, each player draws a card. Howling Mine, everyone draws an extra card. Rite of Flourishing, everyone draws an extra card and plays an extra land. Font of Mythos, everyone draws 2 extra cards. Prosperity, everyone draws a ton of cards. Minds Aglow, everyone draws even more tons of cards. Skyscribing, everyone draws tons and tons of cards, and it boosted earlier on too. Alright, that's my turbo part. That's the idea of those cards, is to speed the game up as fast as possible. And then we get into the fog, which are the things that make it almost impossible to kill me. Starting with Sunstone. Sacrifice a snowland to fog. Nice. And with all of my land recursion, this can go on forever. Constant Miss. Again, sacrifice a land to fog. It can go on forever. Dawn Charm. Fogs, and it also counters spells that target me, which is useful because the deck's biggest weakness is like fireball types of spells, you know, those last minute giant damages to the face. Moment's Peace, it fogs twice. Peacekeeper, creatures cannot attack, period, end of story, as long as he's alive. Spike Weaver, he fogs twice before dying, and he can be reanimated by Reveillark. Knight Captain of Eos, again, fogs twice before dying, and can be reanimated by Reveillark. Blazing Archon, I can't be attacked, period, end of story. Cover of Winter, it's actually quite hilarious. With all the snow lands in my deck, I can give everything I own absorb like 6 or 7 and maintain that for a good 3 or 4 turns, during which I pretty much can't take damage. Chromatic Escape, I can only be attacked 2/3 of the time. Other than that, I am pretty much immune. This is a great way to slow down the game. Cryptic Command, it's both a counterspell and I can use it as a fog by tapping all of my opponent's creatures. Elephant Grass, I can't be attacked by black creatures, and everything else it costs extra to attack me. Very discouraging. Sunken Hope, bounce a creature every turn, really slows the game down. Plus you see a lot of cool combos. Pariah, I can't be hurt until somebody kills that creature. And then my 3 win conditions. Stasis, which basically says nobody gets a turn for 8 or 9 turns, during which they're all drawing 6 or 7 cards. Usually ends up milling them. Ritual Subdual is the one condition I mentioned where I have to get rid of their artifact sources. Basically says that players only have colorless mana except for artifact sources, which totally locks the game out. No one can do anything. And Blue Sun Zenith to make them draw that extra chunk of cards. Alright, that's it. Hi, I'm Trek. That was CMDR decks. Please like and subscribe. Also, here's another stack of cards to stare at, and most of them are legendary.